Have you ever stopped to think about how many things you're still holding on to that no longer serve you? What if some of the stress or heaviness you've been feeling comes from trying to carry things that you've actually outgrown? Life after 60 is not about slowing down. It's about getting clearer. It's about knowing who you are, what you value, and finally giving yourself permission to let go of what no longer fits. In this video, we're going to talk about 6 things many people realize they no longer need after turning 60. Some of these might surprise you. Others, you may have already started to sense deep inside. But one thing is certain: letting go of the unnecessary can open the door to a richer, freer, and more peaceful chapter of your life. Let's start with something many people spend years chasing: staying current with every new trend. For so long, there's this unspoken pressure to stay updated. New fashion, new gadgets, new platforms, new slang. It feels like if you're not keeping up, you're falling behind. But with time comes perspective. You begin to see that most trends are just noise. They come and go, and most of them are meaningless. You don't need to wear what everyone else is wearing or understand every app that younger generations are obsessed with. You wear what makes you feel good, what fits your style, what's comfortable. That's what confidence looks like after 60. Same goes for technology. Just because a new phone comes out every year doesn't mean you need to buy it. You start asking, does this actually make my life easier, or is it just one more thing to manage? You begin to appreciate the power of simplicity. After all, what's the point of staying updated if it just leaves you feeling drained? Letting go of the need to follow trends isn't about falling behind. It's about rising above what's temporary and choosing what's meaningful instead. Another thing many people begin to release is the need for approval from others. When you're younger, it's easy to get caught up in trying to please people: parents, co-workers, neighbors, even strangers. You say yes when you want to say no. You hide parts of yourself to fit in. You stay quiet to avoid being judged. But after a while, you realize that living for other people's expectations is a losing game. No matter how much you try to please everyone, someone will always disapprove. And often the people whose opinions we worry about the most are the ones who know us the least. So is it really worth the effort? At some point, you stop chasing approval and start seeking alignment. You start living according to your values, your truth. You recognize that you can be kind without being a doormat. You can be generous without sacrificing your peace. Releasing the need for approval doesn't make you harsh. It makes you real. Something else that begins to lose its grip is the habit of keeping your schedule packed all the time. In the past, being busy might have felt like a badge of honor: meetings, favors, commitments, social gatherings. The calendar full, the mind even fuller. But then you start to question, am I busy or just distracted? Being constantly occupied doesn't mean you're fulfilled, and it certainly doesn't mean you're living with purpose. After 60, your time becomes more sacred. You learn to protect it. You begin to say no more often and not feel guilty about it. You value unhurried mornings, conversations without checking the clock, and doing things simply because they bring joy. Rest stops being a reward and starts being a right. You no longer feel the need to explain why you're not attending every event or joining every project. You realize that peace isn't found in doing more, it's found in doing what matters. Another powerful shift happens in your relationships. For years, maybe you kept certain connections because of history, obligation, or guilt. A friend who drains you, a relative who always criticizes, a partner who no longer supports your growth. But now, your energy is more precious than ever, and you finally understand. Not everyone deserves access to your life. Some people uplift you, others leave you feeling heavy. And it's okay, even necessary, to create distance from those who take more than they give. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need a dramatic goodbye. You just stop feeding what doesn't nourish you. When you clear space from toxic relationships, you make room for real connection, for people who listen, who respect, who care. You no longer entertain relationships out of habit. You choose them with intention, and that changes everything. Then there's the constant worrying about what people think of you. This one is deep. It shows up in how you speak, how you dress, even in the risks you take or avoid. We've all made decisions, or avoided them, out of fear of judgment. But then, you reach a point where you think, why does this even matter? Most people are too focused on their own lives to be truly invested in yours. And even if they have an opinion, it doesn't pay your bills. It doesn't heal your heart. So why let it run your life? Caring less about outside judgment doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop living according to opinions that were never meant to shape you. You start acting from your own truth, not from the fear of being misunderstood. And in that space, you find peace. Lastly, you begin to see how much stuff you've accumulated over the years and how little of it you actually need. We live in a world that tells us more is better. More clothes, more furniture, more gadgets, more everything. But the older you get, the more you realize stuff doesn't equal happiness. In fact, too much of it becomes a burden. Closets full of clothes you don't wear, drawers packed with things you forgot you had, rooms crowded with objects that once felt important but now just gather dust. You begin to crave space. Space to move, to breathe, to live. You start letting go of what no longer serves a purpose, not just to declutter your home, but to declutter your mind. Minimalism becomes less of a trend and more of a mindset. You start asking, does this add value to my life? If not, maybe it's time to let it go. Because what really matters isn't what you own, it's what you experience. The memories, the conversations, the quiet moments. These are the things you carry with you. So as you move through this stage of life, remember, letting go isn't about loss. It's about creating space for what truly matters. You've earned the right to release old expectations, outdated pressures, and unnecessary obligations. You've earned the right to live more lightly, more truthfully, more intentionally. So ask yourself, which of these 6 things are you ready to let go of? Or maybe you've already released some and noticed a powerful change. I'd love to hear about it in the comments. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it today. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more reflections like this. This is Aging Every Day, where every day matters. See you in the next video.